This 3-pack of old-timer knives at a yard sale a few years ago. I think I gave 15 bucks for the set. It shows a brown one on the cover, but actually they were 3 yellow Delrin knives. I gave away the other 2, and I've got this one left. I'm partial to these old-timers because the very first one I had was like this. It was actually this very knife right here, I believe. And this is the 72 QTY or OTY is what it is, 2 blades. It's a nicely made little knife. I don't know where these come from. I don't know if they're made in America anymore, but the fit and finish on them is quite good. So I've been carrying this one for a while. And sometimes what I do with these knives, just to make them better, is I'll smooth off the edges of these. Now, this doesn't have what I'll call sharp edges, but they're not curved. They're just a little bit... They have a little bit of a sharp corner, and what I'm going to do in this video is I'm just going to shave this down using sandpaper, and we're going to smooth it out and make it just a little more comfortable in the hand and in the pocket. I'm going to wet sand this with progressive grits here. We'll start off, this is a 120 here, and then I'll go to a 220, and then I've got a 320 and a 400, and from there we'll put it on the buffing wheel. I'll do one side and we'll compare what it looks like, and then I'll do the other side. These 4 grits just happen to be paper that I have on hand. I don't think it's essential that you use these. All right, we'll start off with the 120, and I'm just doing this dry, and I'm just gonna go around the perimeter of this thing and just kind of work on those little edges there. Now this knife, the Delrin, the yellow Delrin, it's a very machinable, sandable material, and it's quite solid, so you can really work it pretty hard. Not super hard, but you don't have to worry too much about it. And so I'm just going to take this and just try to get everything rounded off. And so this is going to look a little bit gross when I'm done with it, but we're going to go through the grits and get it smoothed out here. It's already feeling better just with that little bit of work right there. It feels like sacrilege doing this to a new knife, but I've done this before and I was really happy with the results, so I thought I would share what I do here. So to do this, I'll call it inside edge here, I'm going to pop the blades out and go to town on this. You can probably see it's pretty scratched up looking right now, but we're just hogging some material off of this. And I'll just keep working it. It only takes a couple of minutes. It's really not that long of a process. I can already see that it's rounded off fairly well. And boy, I'm almost ready to go to the 220. Okay, so there it is with 120, and I've done like 95% of the, let me put the light on here. I've done about 95% of the shaping with that 120 here. And you can see it looks really scratchy, but let's look at the side here. You can, I don't know, hopefully you can see it. This has got kind of a sharp edge on this as made side, and then here's the side that I did. And I just rounded those edges. So I'm ready to move on to 220. What's more boring than watching somebody sand? I don't know. Really what we're doing is we're just kind of getting the scratch marks out of it from the 120, and we're just going to go down progressively here with it until you hardly be able to see the scratches, and then I'll put it on the buffing wheel. I believe that my 320 here is a wet dry paper, so we're going to dip this in some water. We'll just keep it a little bit wet here. That probably will expedite this. And give it a good going over here. So the 320 is not going to remove a whole bunch of material. Again, we're just kind of getting the scratch marks out from the 220 is really what we're doing here. And I can feel that, by wet sanding it, it kind of increases the bite, sort of it, I think. And kind of expedites the process here. Probably been at this no more than a minute or two. And scratch marks are greatly reduced here. And it's darkened up the yellow a bit. I think these micro scratches and a little bit of the debris from the sanding has gotten into the plastic and has darkened it just a little bit, but that may buff out. But even if it doesn't, I think it kind of adds some interest to it so it doesn't look so brandy new. Finally, we're going to go with 400. I have some other grits, but I don't really think it's necessary. So I'm going to just go right to the buffing wheel as soon as I'm done with this 400, and we'll see how that works out. Okay, so that's sanded through 400. I took it and washed it off real good, and you can see that most of the scratch marks are out of it. It's ready for a good polish. And you can kind of compare it a little bit. I don't know if you can see it very well, but that's rounded off as compared to this side. And that's rounded off as compared to this side. And so it's just that little squarey edge is gone here. It feels nice in the hand right now. I can tell this is going to be very successful. So I'm going to take it over to the buffing wheel now, and let's do the final polish. All right, we'll get the wax off and see what we got. To me, I mean, you see how polished the metal is there? And you can see in the light here how rounded off it is. You know, I got the square edge off of it. It's really looking good. Now, there is a little bit of dirt that's impregnated into the Delrin, and I could certainly sand that out if I wanted to, but I kind of like it. It adds a little character. It ages the knife just a tad. And that's my personal preference. I like it. It feels good on this side. So off camera, I'm going to do the other side, and I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Okay, so there's the other side roughed. I would stop every few seconds and kind of compare and make sure that the curves are about the same. I could take a little more off right there, so I'll do that, and I'll go through the grit. Well, there she is done. We rounded off the edges. We went through grit sandpaper, put it on the buffing wheel. This side, the metal looks really good. The Delrin has some little scratches. And as I mentioned before, I could get those out, but I kind of like it. I think it ages it a little bit, and it gets that bright yellow. It kind of toned it down just a little bit. So this newish old timer, it's probably less than 20 years old, I would say. Looks like it has a little bit of age on it. And man, I'll tell you what, you get those little sharp corners off, and it just feels good in the hand. It's like there's no sharp edges on this anymore. I'm glad I finally got around to doing this. I'd really like to hear what you think. So please leave me a comment if you would, and have a great day. Bye now.